The story of the American Bill of Rights begins long before the United States became a country. In the 1600s and 1700s, many American colonists came from England, a country with its own long history of protecting individual rights. English documents like the Magna Carta in 1215 and the English Bill of Rights in 1689 influenced how Americans thought about liberty. These documents limited the power of the king and gave certain rights to the people, such as the right to a fair trial and protection from cruel punishment. Colonists brought these ideas with them across the Atlantic, and over time they became part of American political thinking. During the 1700s, the 13 British colonies in North America began to grow frustrated with British rule. They were angry about taxes, lack of representation in Parliament, and British soldiers being quartered in their homes. The colonists believed their rights were being violated. This tension led to the American Revolution, which began in 1775. As the war went on, the colonies decided to declare independence. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence was written, stating that all men are created equal and have certain unalienable rights like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These powerful words express the belief that government should protect the people's rights, not take them away. After the colonies won the war in 1783, they faced a new challenge: how to govern themselves. The first attempt at a national government was the Articles of Confederation. However, the Articles created a very weak central government. States had most of the power, and the national government couldn't collect taxes, regulate trade, or even enforce laws properly. It quickly became clear that a stronger national government was needed. In 1787, delegates from the states met in Philadelphia to create a new constitution. The document they created gave more power to the federal government, but also set limits to prevent it from becoming too powerful. However, the original constitution did not include a clear list of rights for individuals. This concerned many people. They feared that a strong federal government could abuse its power and take away their freedoms. These people, known as anti-federalists, demanded a Bill of Rights, a list of specific protections for the people. The Federalists, who supported the new Constitution, argued that the Constitution already limited government power and didn't need a Bill of Rights. They feared that listing rights might actually limit them, suggesting that any right not listed didn't exist. But the anti-federalists were persistent. They wanted guarantees, especially since many state constitutions already had their own declarations of rights. To get the Constitution ratified by enough states, the Federalists promised to add a Bill of Rights. Once the new government began operating in 1789, James Madison, who had once been skeptical of a Bill of Rights, took the lead in drafting one. He looked at existing state declarations, the English Bill of Rights, and ideas from political philosophers like John Locke. Madison proposed 19 amendments, and after much debate, Congress approved 12 of them to be sent to the states for ratification. By 1791, 10 of those amendments were ratified by the necessary number of states. These became known as the Bill of Rights. They are the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution and protect basic freedoms such as speech, religion, the right to bear arms, and protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. They also guarantee a fair trial, protection from cruel punishment, and other rights that help define what it means to be free. The First Amendment protects freedom of speech, religion, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. It ensures people can express themselves, follow any religion, or criticize the government without fear of punishment. The Second Amendment gives citizens the right to bear arms, a controversial topic today, but originally intended to ensure people could defend themselves and their country. The Third Amendment prevents the government from forcing people to house soldiers in their homes, which was a major complaint during British rule. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures, meaning the government needs a warrant or strong reason to invade someone's privacy. The Fifth Amendment guarantees due process of law, protection from self-incrimination and double jeopardy, and includes the right to just compensation if the government takes private property. The Sixth Amendment guarantees a speedy and public trial by jury, the right to a lawyer, and the right to know what you're accused of. The Seventh Amendment allows for jury trials in certain civil cases, and the Eighth Amendment protects against excessive bail, fines, and cruel or unusual punishments. The Ninth and Tenth Amendments are sometimes less discussed but still important. The Ninth says that just because a right isn't listed in the Constitution doesn't mean people don't have it. The Tenth says that any power not given to the federal government belongs to the states or the people. Together, they reinforce the idea that the government's power is limited and comes from the people. Over the years, the Bill of Rights has had a massive impact on American life. Courts, especially the U.S. Supreme Court, have interpreted these amendments in many cases. Some rights originally applied only to the federal government, but over time, through the process called incorporation, most of them now apply to state governments as well. This has happened through interpretations of the 14th Amendment, which was added after the Civil War and says no state can deny people life, liberty, or property without due process of law. For example, freedom of speech, once only protected from federal interference, is now protected from state interference too. This means your right to speak your mind is shielded whether you're dealing with the federal government or your local town council. The same goes for rights like protection against unreasonable searches, the right to a lawyer, and others. The Bill of Rights has also inspired social movements and legal reforms. The Civil Rights Movement used the First and 14th Amendments to fight segregation and discrimination. The right to privacy, though not mentioned directly in the Constitution, has been derived from several amendments and used in cases about birth control, same-sex marriage, and more. The Bill of Rights continues to be a living document, shaping debates about freedom and justice in America. At times, the nation has struggled with how to balance individual rights and public safety. During wars or national emergencies, some rights have been limited or challenged. For example, during World War I, the government restricted speech that it believed harmed the war effort. Later, the Supreme Court upheld some of these limits, but also set rules for when speech could be restricted. Over time, the courts have become more protective of free speech, showing how the interpretation of rights can evolve. The same is true for other rights. The Second Amendment, for example, has been interpreted in different ways over time. Some see it as a personal right to own guns, while others focus on the amendment's reference to a well-regulated militia. In 2008, the Supreme Court ruled in District of Columbia v. Heller that individuals have a right to possess firearms for self-defense, a major moment in Second Amendment history. The Bill of Rights is not just about limits on government, it's also about empowering individuals. It gives people tools to stand up against unfair laws, speak out, and seek justice. It's not perfect, and debates continue over how its protections should apply, but it remains one of